What's up, everyone? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to let you see me in a minute. Yeah. All right. Welcome, everyone, to Conversation with Coach Angie, our bi-weekly conversation with the one and the only Dr. Akmal Muwakil. We are going to be, I know, just overwhelmed with amazing gems that he always offers us every time. Like, again, this man has over 40 years of experience in women's health, and he is here to drop all the gems. So I hope you grab a piece of paper and get ready, because here we are. Without further ado, Dr. Akmal, welcome.
Good evening, and good evening to to the people listening. I thank you for tuning in, because you could have been someplace other than where you are this evening, joining us for this lovely evening. So I'd like to say good evening to everyone who is listening.
Good evening.
So this evening, last week I think I talked about breast cancer. And so this evening I want to talk about this trend that's going on that's really affecting a lot of people in more ways than one, and as it continues to work to groom people for what they're looking at, it doesn't have to be, and it could be this big experiment that's going on, and a lot of people are involved in it. And the experiment that's going on has to do with this whole piece that has bombarded us, or I'd say within the last year a lot, called weight loss. There was a whole piece about how much the drugs cost for weight loss, how those drugs were being taken away from people who really needed them in terms of type 2 diabetes, So what it seems like has happened, and I don't know because I'm not in that industry, but what it seems like has happened is that the people who needed it, who were diabetics, who are diabetics, got kicked to the curb because of the fact that it's been found out that it helps to lose weight. And so that make more money than providing people who have issues with insulin and diabetes from being able to take care of their body, I mean, and so it's been a whole piece. Now the government has gotten involved, if I'm correct, and I don't have to be, but I believe I heard somewhere that the government's getting involved to make sure that the pharmaceutical companies don't charge you over $1,000 or something of that nature to get these pharmaceuticals. And so when you start looking at that, you start looking at the factor of, when I start looking at that, I look at the factor that, okay, so here they've dropped these drugs on the market that they're actually taking away from people who need it, diabetics, and they're selling it to people who are overweight. Well, let me clear a few things for people. Okay, first off, you don't have a weight issue. You don't have a weight issue. That's the way we've been programmed. We've been programmed to think what they want us to think. So now you're overweight and you're obese, And so now you're in a class of people that need to take certain kinds of meds. There are a couple of reasons why your body would spread out. Okay. First off, the medications, which have great side effects and death and cancer, and that's what they say on their website. Let me see. I pulled one of them up. It says it causes lumps, swelling of the neck, hoarseness, trouble swallowing, shortness of breath, and then it continues to go on saying you're going to get thyroid cancer, and it on and on and on and on. And so
now, what medication is that you're reading?
that's Wegovy.
Okay. And
Okay.
that's the diabetic medication that people are using as
Right.
weight loss medication? Okay.
Right. Okay. You go on the website, it got all of that information I just said on it. Which is terrible. It says endocrine neuroplasma syndromes for type 2 men. Okay, so it's a drug that actually does its job. Okay, it definitely brings down the blood sugar levels. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the major things that you wanted to do if you're a diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
But when it starts to talk about losing weight, that's a heavy piece there. See, because people don't understand the factor that you do not want to lose weight. You don't want to lose weight, because when you lose weight, and the products will tell you, when you lose weight, you lose muscle mass and bone density, because those are the two major pieces of your body that has to deal with your weight.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really want to lose those. Excuse me. What you want to lose is you want to lose waste that's adhering itself to a tissue called the adipose tissue. And so when you have adiposity, and that's what that is, when you got adipose tissue like that, it starts to spread out, okay, because of the fact of several different things. And folks who have heard me before, they've heard me talk about the elbow syndrome. Okay, the mouth flies open, the elbow bends. So now you're putting stuff in there and not conscious of putting it in there in terms of what it's really doing to your body. Although you know you like it.
Can we explain to the audience what adipose tissue is?
So adipose tissue is the fatty tissue of your body. Okay. You have two different types of adipose tissue. You have white adipose tissue. You know, you scrape yourself and you see that white meat underneath of your skin. That's white adipose tissue. And then you have brown adipose tissue, and brown adipose tissue is where the waste adheres itself to. And so your adipose tissue could start out like this here, and the more waste it gets on it, the more it starts to expand. And as it expands, it starts to get the skin to expand. And so the skin's expanding on one side, and the fat tissues, which are the adipose tissues, are expanding on the inside. So what looked like this now looks like this here. Okay, that's what adipose tissue is. And so when you got too much of it, they call it adiposity. And so with this adipose tissue, or this fatty tissue, being aligned with waste, and it's growing, your body starts to spread out. Okay, and that's and believe it or not, that's the natural progression of the body. Why? Because the body has its own balancing for its cellular structure digestion, nourishment, okay, and waste depositing. We interrupt that process when we begin to deal with it from a level of eating foods out of season, eating foods all day long. That's like, a lot of the diabetics are being told by their physician that they should eat small meals every day. Well, my patients who I see that have diabetes, I don't recommend that, because when you recommend that, you're recommending the body to look for food all day long.
Mm-hmm.
If you put in what you need to put in, and you take certain other kinds of herbs and digestive enzymes and those kinds of things, then you don't need that, because the blood sugar level starts to work for itself. But because of the fact that we're eating this standard American diet, most of us, some of us have cleaned up our act, and that's a good thing. But
Yeah.
a lot of us are eating that standard American diet. And because you're eating that standard American diet, that diet is not providing you with nutrients. What it's doing is providing you with waste that's being stored amongst the fatty tissue, the adipose tissue. And so because of that, now the tissue is spreading out, opposed to it maintaining its integrity and not gaining. And so when we start looking at that, when you start taking these drugs start to not break down the fatty tissue, but begin to break down the muscle, the muscle mass, and not nourishing the muscle. So part of what they're talking about in this piece is fatigue. What's another one they got over here? They got fatigue, shortness of breath, those kinds of things. Those are things that's detrimental to your body. I didn't see anywhere in looking at stuff where they talked about osteoporosis. But as a woman, if you're no longer cycling every 32 to every 23 to 32 days, then you have the prevalence of having osteoporosis. Okay, but I didn't see that. Now, the interesting thing is that women, and especially women of color, of African descent, women are like 56, African-American women are like 56% of the women who are overweight or obese, and whose BMA is 25% more than what it should be. And so what that does is that puts you into a place where you definitely are overweight. And with that being the case, now you also have more stuff going on, because now you're susceptible to osteoporosis, you see. And so the piece of that is the factor that if you're not in the category of men and you're still cycling, then that could cause several other things. One of them is amenorrhea, which is a lack of menstruation. Okay. The other is that because of the waste that the person is carrying, it could cause them to have cramps during their cycle. It could cause them to have heavy bleeding. It could cause them to have leukorrhea, which is yeast. So it can cause a whole cadre of things. And so the piece of that is the fact that women should think about the factor of what they're eating and how they're eating. Now, some of that has to do with eating. Okay. A large portion of it has to do with eating and digestion. But there's another portion of it that has to do with the endocrine system. And the endocrine system has to do with the hormonal balances. Mm-hmm. And so you have some women who are taking HRTs, which are hormone replacement therapy. And at the same point, they're also working they're also at the same point, they're also working with either drugs like this here or other kinds of drugs to to reduce and or eliminate what they figure they are overweight. And so what you may want to take a look at is, first one is what you're eating. Okay. Two, very important, and I probably said this before here, your blood type. Okay. You might be gaining that weight because you're eating foods out of your blood type. And so instead of them nourishing the body, they're settling in the body. And so you might have been on all the diet plans in the world, but none of them are working for you because of the fact that you're eating foods or you're doing things outside of your blood type. I don't personally believe in diets. I mean, who's dying? I don't believe in diets. I work in the compounds of eating habits, because everything that's alive has an eating habit, including plants. Okay. So when we start talking about that, we should deal with the factor of what's your blood type, and are you eating foods that's specifically for your blood type? Because when you do that, then you begin to work in concert with how you can begin to heal. The next piece is that I would suggest is that you eat foods in that season. Eat foods that have been harvested in that season, not still growing. That's why a lot of people have gluten allergies, because of the factor that we eat we eat foods in a season when gluten is being grown, opposed to the season when it's been harvested. That's like when you got winter wheat. Well, winter wheat, you eat that in the spring. Okay, that's when you eat winter wheat, because you're growing wheat in the wintertime, and you're harvesting it in spring. So work with the compounds of the foods, okay, and their seasons, and eating them. Don't drink and eat at the same time, because you reduce the enzymatic process, that has to happen in terms of breaking down your food. Without enzymes, you will basically die. Okay, your body needs to have enzymes. Everything you do has an enzyme. And so when you start eating, your body has to break the food down by means of enzymatics, or enzymatic process. And so within the compounds of that process, what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to get the enzymes to break down the food. And that means that when you're drinking something, and if you are drinking something, taking some digestive enzymes or something of that nature, or even you might be having to take some pharmaceuticals due to the fact of something going on with it. Usually take it with water that's room temperature or just a little warm, so that it doesn't shut the digestive tract down. Because when it shuts the digestive tract down, then what happens is that now you have an issue, and the body, or the small intestines, is unable to actually absorb the food that you're eating. From a Chinese perspective, and I teach this when I teach, it's not weight, it's waste. When you start to look at the enzymatic process, you're looking at the fact of how the enzymes break down starch in the mouth, protein in the stomach, lipids, fats in the small intestines, and malts, so that you're able to extract the nutrients. The other piece of that is that in Chinese medicine, the spleen takes over the job of the pancreas. And so the spleen in women is always involved, okay? And the reason that it's always involved is because of the factor that the spleen in Chinese medicine makes red blood cells, which is much different than in Western medicine. In Western medicine, it's a lymphatic gland that breaks down worn out red blood cells. And so, with the spleen being involved, the spleen holds everything in its place. So, that means that it holds the blood in its vessels. It means that it holds the fetus in the womb. So, the spleen has that kind of dictation within your body. Your spleen has to deal with the factor of how, in some cases, your hormones function because of the factor that it is the manufacturer of the blood. You see, and so
how do we nourish our spleen?
So you nourish the spleen by giving the spleen things like grains. You know, a lot of people say, "I don't eat grains. Grains do this, grains do that." Grains are energy food. Grains should be eaten. Our ancestors ate grains. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got some grains that like white rice and stuff of that nature that you should stay away from. However, in the Chinese system, there's a product called juk. Okay, and it sounds like something out of Star Wars or Star Trek, but juk. And there's a book that's called the Book of Juk. Okay, matter of fact,
how do you spell that?
Juck, I think it is juk. I have to.
And it is what, a fruit, grain?
No, juk. No, juk. Okay, is white rice. And it's cooked.
Juk is white rice, everybody. So
yeah,
write
that might be
down.
spelt wrong. I'll have to
Okay.
find it for you and give it so that you can give it to your people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's white rice
Mm-hmm.
that they add herbs to and cook it as porridge for 12 hours. Now,
oh, wow.
whatever it does, it increases the ability of the rice to create the healing force. Now, my thoughts are, and I've not experimented with it to find out, but my thoughts is that with this decoction, the rice acts as an accelerator because of the fact of how the sugar from the rice, from the grain, interacts with the herbs to create the circulation through the blood. Doesn't have to be that way. Okay. But that's the way that I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so when you start to look at that in that manner, you know, that's the only reason I would tell somebody, and it's been known to actually help to eradicate cancer. Okay. In hospitals in China, they use it. You know, see, and in Asian countries, foods have a whole different outlook than they do in Western countries, because of the elements of the temperament of it. For instance, the white rice or grains in general have to do with spleen chi deficiency or spleen's energy, because that's what they do. That's where you get your energy from the spleen. The spleen is what breaks down that molecule so that the small intestines can absorb it. So
besides grains, what else should we do to nourish our spleen so that we can get this waste off of us?
So fruits, because of the fact that fruits have, especially fruits in season. That's like this is autumn, and so in autumn we want to talk about things like apples, you know, pomegranates. See, blackberries and bruising berries, because those foods can, one, help the spleen. Anything sweet helps the spleen. Okay, anything sweet.
Okay.
That's why when people start to crave sweets, the first thing I look at is their spleen. And what they would see on their tongue is they would see their teeth marks on their spleen, on their tongue. That's the first indication that you have spleen Qi deficiency, which means that you're eating a lot of grains or you're eating a lot of sweets. Okay, so you want to eat those kinds of foods. You want to deal with some digestive enzymes, probiotics. That's another one, and I'm always talking. Listen, if you don't know me about nothing else, those are two things that you know me about.
100%.
And so those would be things that you might want to do on, the physiological level, on the mental level. I've never been over 150 pounds. And in the last 40 years, I've not been over 135 pounds. So I would not know what it is to carry more weight than my bones can carry. But I can imagine what it's like because of the work that I do and because I watch people's bodies and how their bodies move, whether or not they're having overweight or obesity. Okay, that's a little rough to have your bones to pick up more pounds than what it can have, than what it serves. Because our bones set the standards for our weight, whether we realize that or not. Okay, it also sets the standard for how our muscles develop. That's why a lot of times you have athletes and they tear muscle. Okay, and they tear muscle because of the fact that the bone and the muscle itself came into conflict because either you twisted it wrong or something of that nature. And so when you start looking at that, you start looking at the fact that with the bones have to be solid. And because they're solid, they do a whole lot. And in the wintertime, we'll talk about that. They carry the DNA, they carry the stem cells, and they carry vitamin D. And so, and they're made up of calcium. And so when we start looking at that, and we start pulling all of that together, we have to look at the fact of what's going on in your mind. Okay. See, because if you're, a lot of women specifically who are overweight or obese find themselves in a place that is not comfortable for them.
Are we speaking mentally?
Mentally. Okay. And because of that, alternative things happen to them. And in some cases, they're real prevalent to anyone who comes along talking about diet and weight loss and that kind of thing. And when you do that, when you lose weight naturally, it is time consuming. And it's time consuming because of the fact that you're taking your life back into your hands. You see, when you take these pills and all this other kind of stuff, then you're giving your health away. Okay. But when you deal with it from a natural perspective, you now go to work for you. See, because now you're talking about what it you're eating, how you thinking. Some of the people who have waist issues are depressed. Okay. And the depression has their elbow flexing. And or their self-esteem. One of the things that I do with people is you got it. One of my pieces is, if you've ever taken one of my courses or listened to me, I always talk about balance. Because in the world of TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, it's about balance. And so when people come to me for especially for weight enhancement of health, I always get into your mind, because your mind dictates how your body's going to function. Just think about it. Just think about it. So this morning you got up, you woke up. That was the first thing. Especially if you're listening to me now, you woke up this morning. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is that when you woke up, your mind had to determine what was coming next. See, so am I going to get out the bed right now? I'm going to just lay here for a few minutes. Am I going to put the snooze on and go back to sleep until it wake me up again, or am I going to get up? Okay. And so all day your mind has been doing that. And so for people who have weight issues or waist issues, basically, sometimes that's on their mind. Well, I don't look good. That kind of thing. It was, I enjoyed seeing, I think her name is Rizzo. Lizzo, right. I enjoyed seeing her come out and do her craft and let folks know that she's a very full-figured woman and she loves it. Okay. Yeah. And that's a good way to be if you are in that state. Okay.
Right.
Don't allow anybody to scare you out of how you feel about yourself.
I agree.
You see, because
she is on a weight loss journey though now, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And see, that may be because of several different reasons. Okay. It used to be growing up, and I grew up in the 50s. I started growing up in the 50s. It would be like someone her size would be good in the community. Someone my size, they would be saying, boy, you need to put some weight on them bones. Okay. Here, let me give you some of this to fatten you up.
Yep.
Now it's the opposite. Okay.
Yeah. It keeps flip-flopping from generation to generation.
Yeah.
Right. It's crazy because just a few years ago, it was like, you need to put some meat on those bones. Now they're back to trying to be as skinny as possible. And that's why, to your point, we need to just be comfortable with who we are. We need to make sure we are healthy first, healthy in our mind, healthy in our body first, because really what you look like after that is the byproduct of you eating healthy and having your mind right.
No question.
That's the byproduct. That's why you don't need things like Ozempic. Because I always say this to everyone, just not to interrupt you for too long, but I always have to make the point to people that after every diet commercial, diet pill commercial, whatever, that's trying to get you to lose weight, they always have the disclaimer of, with a healthy diet and exercise. Every single one, I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
It has that disclaimer. So why don't you just do that? Why don't you just do that?
And see the piece of that, why people don't engage in that as much as because of the fact that it's work.
Less work than injecting yourself in the stomach or taking a pill.
Yeah.
They don't care if they get sick from it. None of it.
No.
And I want to make it clear, I'm not against anybody who does this. If this is what you want for yourself, then by all means. But just understand that even with that, I don't care if you get butt injections. I don't care what it is. Fat sucked out. At the end of the day, you are going to have to eat a sensible diet and exercise to maintain what you've done to your body. So I did want to read something that one of my clients sent me. She said, I won't give you all the other stuff, but she said, but I did Ozempic last year and lost lots of weight, about 50 pounds. Then we switched insurances and couldn't get any more. So I have gained just about all back.
Mhm. Yep. And she, man, I ain't putting this on you, dear, if you're listening, but she would also gain more because now the body's gonna suck in more because it's in a suction mode now. And so that's the other piece about taking these drugs. The danger is the factor that if you can't get that drug, your body's going to react to that factor because of the fact because of that. And so
Yeah.
there again, you get into that whole mind thing. Oh my God, I'm gaining. I'm not losing anymore. I'm gaining. What am I going to do?
Mhm.
And I can't get this and I can't get that. What am I? And the reality of that is the factor that now you don't put worry in there and anxiety,
Yeah.
which excuse me has the ability to create depression. And so if you get depressed, then you have an issue with the liver. And when you have an issue with the liver now can cause the spleen in the stomach to shut down. And so if they shut down, then the digestive tract shuts down. And as the digestive tract begins to shut down, what now happens is that now you back to suffering from malnutrition. People who are overweight, you are not overweight, you're overweight. You're suffering from malabsorption that's causing malnutrition of the nutrients that you're supposed to get from the foods you're eating, and the waste
Woo!
byproduct being
Okay.
kicked out in a timely manner. That's what you're supposed to be dealing with. Okay. We don't do that. Okay. We eat, like I said, we eat any time of the day. There's some times when I'm at meetings and it's 11 o'clock at night and people are eating a full meal. It's like, nah, I'm good. I mean, we should begin to understand that because of the fact that you don't have to live being overweight. You don't have to carry around more extra weight than you need, but you have to do a couple of things. One is you got to deal with discipline, okay?
Mhm.
Because of the factor that to move away from the table, to maintain that how you make that bend go into your arm, all of that has to deal with discipline. Okay? Discipline is one of the key factors in that. It's like the lady said she used the weight loss drug Ozempic, and when she couldn't get it, her body just went haywire. Well, what now she needs to look at is how to get that under control first off. And the first place that I would suggest is this: digestive enzymes and probiotics. Okay,
That's what
that's
I
the
put her on right away. I put her on it
that's
right away.
yeah, that's the first thing I would deal with. The second thing is she might want to join a class that's coming up in between Thanksgiving turkey shoot and
Oh, okay.
and Christmas. That's going to help people with that whole resolution of losing weight come the first of the year, because we're in the holidays now, so people getting ready to go buck wild in terms of what they putting in their mouth, you know.
Yes,
But
they
then
are.
come January 1, everybody gonna be saying, okay, so I'm gonna start my resolution today, And so, people should begin to think about starting that revolution right now. See,
Right now.
because when you start it right now you begin to plan how you go through the holidays in
Hmm.
terms of things to eat. Oh, I just got a signal here that my battery's about to run out. Um, if we could go to information break for a moment, I'll be right back.
Okay, let's go for a break. I'll stay here with them. All right, so I'll recap while Dr. Akmal is we're getting ready to get off in a minute anyway, but while he's charging his phone, I want to recap the things that he's saying. Basically, what we're talking about today is you carrying away around, or we're carrying around waste. The adipose tissue underneath our skin and then underneath that first layer is waste. It's it's fat, but it's waste. It's what we have not eliminated out of our bodies. So he is teaching us what we need to do, how we need to nourish different organs in our bodies, like our spleen, like our liver, like all the things that cleanse for us to just eliminate. And I he mentioned us eating, of course, knowing our blood type, number one. Number two, eating foods that are in seasons, making sure we do not drink our water while we eat. We should drink our water. He didn't say this, but he taught me this a long time ago, and I use this with my clients and myself, to drink your water 30 minutes before you eat, or 30 minutes after, to an hour or two after you eat. Never eat and drink at the same time. If you can, make it room temperature water and not ice water. Um, so he's given us a lot of gems today. Know your blood type so that you can eat for your blood type. Um, know what foods are in season. And typically, just to give you a hint, when you go into a grocery store, typically the food that they have right when you walk in the door are the foods that are in season. So when you walk in the door and you got grapes and pears and apples and pumpkins and all of these things, they're gonna always place it in the produce area right as soon as you walk in the door. Those are the foods and the fruits and the vegetables that are in season. So pay attention to that. Cranberries, all of those things. They're not just putting it out to be pretty. They're telling you what's in season right now, and you want to eat those things, those fruits and vegetables that are in season, no more than 100 miles than where you live. So go to farmers market. I noticed that Whole Foods now, they house local farms food in Whole Foods, and I was very excited to see that. So without further ado, again, take it away, Dr. Akmal. Give us like what you were where you left off.
So, um, as you said, we're eating foods in season, and folks, folks should understand the factor that their mental health also has a lot to do with how food is being digested. The in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, it's talked about the fact of how you shouldn't meet and eat at the same time. And the reason that is because of the factor that when you meet, you're trying to digest concepts, ideas, ideals. If you're sitting there eating, your body also, which has to, both of these have to do with the spleen, your body will begin to try to digest the food that you're eating. So whichever one is the strongest is the one that's going to get the most digestion. So if it's a lot of stuff that's going in your head, your body may not digest the food. So that's
Interesting.
that's a piece, yeah, because the body. That's why. Okay, so as I said, we're going through the holidays, and so now it's football season, and everybody's sitting there watching football. So on the on the day that they stole from the indigenous people of this land called Turtle Island, folks are gonna be eating and sitting there watching the game, or they're gonna be eating and the game gonna be sitting there watching them. You see, because the body's gonna say, well, okay, so you ate that big meal and it was good to you and you felt good behind it, and you were a little bloated, but it's all right. You're gonna sit here on the couch and watch the TV, and the body's gonna say, mm-hmm. So now you gave me the chance to shut you down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you wind up going to sleep. Just think about it. How many times you'd have been to one of them holiday gatherings and had a big meal and folks sitting around sleeping, right? And they ain't sleeping because they old. They sleeping because of the fact that their food has shut them down. So we should think about it in that manner as well. The other piece of that is the fact that, you know, because we're going into the holidays, people should really begin to start now thinking about the discipline that they're going to need to take back their life and their health through means of understanding how to eat. Humans
All
are
right,
the
let's give them three. Let's give them three actionable steps that they can take to right now,
and
today,
I
to learn
got
how to
that
eat.
for you. So the first thing is that you want to, and I said this earlier, you want to eat foods in season within 100 miles radius. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is that you want to take digestive enzymes. Okay, because you want to help to restructure the digestive system. The other piece of that is the fact that you want to learn to eat foods in their proper combination. So starch and proteins don't go together. Fruits and vegetables don't go together. Okay, vegetables and starches and vegetables and proteins, all of that goes together. Now the starch and the proteins, I mean the vegetables and the proteins on this side, the vegetables and the grains on this side. Okay, so or meats on this side. So you have that. Then you have the fruits. Fruits go with fruits. Okay, they don't go with a lot of other things that we put them with, and they should go in
Mm-hmm.
their category and in their family. Just like you belong to a family, foods belong to families. Foods have temperament. Okay, they have
Mm-hmm.
heat, they have cold. That's like, as we move towards winter, we start to reduce the amount of cold foods we eat. Well, what are cold foods? Salad is a cold food. In the fall and the wintertime, if you're eating a salad, don't eat it first. Okay. Eat it last. Yeah. Because it's a cold food, it shuts the digestive tract down.
Okay.
See, it's not weight, it's waste. I teach about this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it does is it shuts the digestive tract down because it's cold. The digestive tract needs combustion, it needs heat. Okay.
So
So if
maybe in
that's
the winter, maybe in the fall or winter, you start with a soup instead of a salad,
right, you start with soup and you
and you don't
eat
have to
grain.
have a salad. Okay.
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 And you eat grains and you eat fruits that are in season. See, because a lot of the, just think about it, a lot of the stuff that's grown that we eat in salads don't actually grow or are not harvested in autumn. Okay. We're eating them through the summer. When autumn comes, we have grains and soups. So now we're talking about root vegetables, carrots, beets, turnips, okay, squashes. Those are the foods that you're eating now. So that in the springtime, you start to eat foods that are starting to come out the ground. Okay. Celery, you know, apples. Apples is, depending on where you are, it can be all season long, all year long. Okay. But you start to change the way that you eat these foods so that what happens is that now your body is functioning in such a way where the body is taking in these nutrients. So that your body now doesn't store. What it does is your body now moves stuff into the light where you can actually function with it.
Mm-hmm.
The other piece of that is the fact that don't eat under duress. You know, don't be stressed out and eat. You know, because when you're stressed out and eat, the food is not digesting.
Right.
And the biggest piece, this is the secret about losing waste. Digestive enzymes, eating locally, um, having a sound mind when you're eating, praying. Prayer has a lot to do with how you maintain the balance of weight. Okay, praying, you know, exercising, and exercising doesn't mean that you got to do 500 sit-ups. You know,
Right.
exercise means that you get something in on a consistent basis that is able
Mhm.
to move the muscles, the bones, the lymphatic system, so that
Mhm.
you're really able to utilize your body and keep the joints open and that kind of thing. See,
Mhm.
on Saturday mornings we do qigong. It's a complimentary class. It's from 8 to 8:30 on Zoom. Okay, where you get a workout on Saturday mornings. Okay, you definitely get a workout on Saturday mornings. The piece of that is, do something. That's that
Mhm.
that's now a lot of people, and I belong to a couple of groups of seniors who now play pickleball. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, go play tennis, pickleball, track,
Go for a
something.
long walk.
Walk,
Go
right.
for a long walk. Yeah.
I mean, do some tai chi, some yoga, something of that nature, to make sure that your body functions well. And as women, you need that kind of activity because of the factor that you always need to have the chi, the energy to move. Because when the energy isn't moving, that's when you start to have issues, blood clots and migraines and fibroids and all of those kinds of things, which fibroids is a blood mass. So when you start looking at fibroids, you're looking at the fact of how you break that down and warm the uterus. I mean, so there's a lot that goes into maintaining and being healthy, and reducing the ability of your body to carry um, waste, which now accumulates weight, and as it affects your bones.
Let me ask you a question. So I've been eating sprouts and arugula every
Mhm.
day, practically. What what could I cook them? Can I just cook them before I eat them and make
Well,
that the warm thing, or do I still need to eat that after my meal?
I would say eat that after your meal. Sprouts. Well, depending on what kind of sprouts they are,
Well, they're
depends.
broccoli sprouts.
Okay, so broccoli sprouts, because they're sprouts and the way they're sprouted, you don't really want to heat them because now you're breaking down the enzymes in them. See,
Okay.
when you start heating certain types of food like arugula is not a food that should be heated, to my knowledge. Now,
Okay.
somebody might experimented and show that it is, but to my knowledge,
Well,
it's a cold food.
I've cooked it before. I've cooked it
Okay.
before, but but I want to do it the right way. So
Yeah.
if I should now start to drink my broth, my mineral broth first, eat and then the salad, then I'll do
Well,
it that way.
yeah,
It's not a big deal for
because
me.
because the law of digestion has to do it. You send the foods in that are lightest and that will digest the quickest before you
Right.
send the heaviest foods in that could clog up the system. You
So
see.
in the spring and summer, salad does not clog because they're the
So
warmer
right,
months.
right, because it's the warmer and your body's more active.
Hmm.
Where in the fall and the wintertime, your digestive tract starts to shut down. And as your digestive tract starts to shut down, that's when we gain that 5 or 10 pounds.
Right.
Because
So
in the
I
spring and
need
the
my
summer
audience
we
to get this. I need them to get this because I'm just getting it.
lose.
All right, you all. In the warmer months, which is pretty much late spring, all through
Mhm,
summer, it's okay to start your meals with a salad. Just make sure you chew it up almost to liquid so that
mhm,
it digests well.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're into the fall, we're going into late fall, winter months, you should start your meals with soups, warm.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You can end with a salad, but start with warm. Okay? You got it? So now we're in the start with the warm before you eat your meals. And if you want a salad to get the green in, to get those nutrients in, then go ahead and do that at the end of your meal. Very important. Thank you for that, Dr. Akmal. So I want to I want to leave our
And
audience,
so,
as I always
and,
do.
and so the thing that you want to do, and I want to leave you with this,
Yes.
is first you got to love yourself, because if you love yourself,
Amen.
then you work to take care of yourself. That's the first thing. Second, eat foods, only foods that nourish your body, your mind, okay, so that you get what you need, so that you can interact with your spirit. And then the third piece of that is work to reestablish digestion. Because if you work to reestablish digestion, what then begins to happen is that now your body will be able to absorb, assimilate the nutrients from the foods you eat, which now reduces the access of adipose tissue to spread out and cause you to have issues weighing more than what you should. You know, those are things that I would suggest that you do, because if you begin to do that, oh, and definitely find and understand your blood type, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and eat as close to that as possible. Because if you don't, then that could cause you to have a waist issue as well. Well, I pray that I drop some information in your ears and allow your mind to
Amazing
process.
information.
You know,
You have, as
um,
always. I'm so grateful to you for coming on today to talk to us about how we can get this waste out of us, how we can eliminate on a consistent basis. I think we need to talk about it again and again and again because so many people are um they just don't understand how to eat. Like I just got the biggest gem of my life that I need to now switch to eating warm. Now
mhm.
I did know that, but I didn't know that I had to do it in the fall. I thought it was just winter. And I thought that if I ate sprouts and I don't know. So that's why I got you on here. 'Cause
So
I
the,
need you
the
to
the
tell me.
the the last piece I want to say about that is that also fasting. Matter of fact, I
Hmm.
broke a fast um, last week. Okay, fasting within each season. Fasting, what fasting does is fasting stops digestion. That's what you want to do. You want to stop digestion, because if you can stop digestion, then what happens is that when you stop digestion, digestion now goes to repair itself. As it
Yeah.
repairs itself and you go back to eating, you now will eat foods that are in season, and those kinds of things, which now would assist you in losing the rest of that waste. When people do my fasting program or protocol, my fasting protocol, right out the gate, when by the time they finish, in some cases before they finish, they've lost like 15, 20 pounds of waste,
Wow.
because of the factor that we now getting the bowels to move in the manner that they should. This is the bowel season. This is the lung and the bowel season. It's autumn. So this is the time when you want to get the bowels to move, when you want to get the waste out. If you're constipated, this
Hmm.
is the time to get rid of constipation. You got hemorrhoids. This is a season for hemorrhoids. You got asthma, okay, or emphysema or COPD. This is the season that you actually work to get rid of those by eating foods and taking certain herbs,
Yeah.
that and fasting. That's what's happening with here. So that when you go into winter, you go into winter looking for that whole rejuvenation of your health through your DNA and your stem cells and vitamin D that comes out of the bones through the elements of the kidneys.
All right, so that's going to be our next talk, you all. We are going to talk about how to properly fast. We have spoken about it in the past before, but I think so that we can reset our bodies for the winter months, we need to fast. I'll do it with you. So that's what we're going to talk about next, Dr. Akmal. We're going to talk about fast,
Okay.
um, and you can go to www.drarkmalspeaks.com if you want to learn more about his protocol. And on Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can
8 o'clock.
also 8 o'clock, eight
Hmm.
o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can register on Zoom for his Qigong class that, again, starts at 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings, Eastern Standard Time. Just go to his website and just see all of that, who this man is and what he does and his passion. And without further ado, I will just let you have that one final last thing because I got to feed my daddy.
Well, I definitely want you to do that. Um, so, so the last piece of that is this: as you work to understand yourself, and as you work with your journey and allow others to intersect on your journey, think about the factor of why you're really here and what is it that you came here to do, and how is it that you can heal to do the work that you came here to do. Be well, enjoy your life as you peacefully walk in health, and we shall talk soon. Mudupe.
Thank you, Dr. Akmal. Everybody, have a good night. Thank you for joining us.